Hi, I'm Alan Givens, President of Parrish Services, and we're always there for you.
We decided to do a geothermal system because we wanted to be a little more ecologically friendly. We were trying to do our part to cut our carbon footprint.
Well, we chose to go with geothermal really for three reasons. The first is the cost of propane was going up astronomically. Our bills, which were about $200 a month, on the budget plan ended up being $500 a month, and they were still going higher. The second is we were looking at our systems that the builder had installed, and they were very efficient at the time, but they weren't very efficient, nor were they working very well, and we were having some repairs that looked they were going to be more costly. And the third is we really do have some concerns and care about the environment. I mean, certainly with not only the cost, but the implications of all the transportation of fuels. Anything that got us to be able to be more self-sufficient was something that we thought was a good thing to be doing right now.
We chose to go with geothermal because we needed to replace our oil-burning furnace. And thinking about it,
yeah, I was about 20 years old, and it was ready to go.
So we had a choice of, I guess, natural gas or replace with the oil-burning furnace or go with a heat pump, which we had concerns about for efficiency being as north as we are in Virginia. So we thought that geothermal sounded like a better approach than going with the heat pump. We didn't have gas into the house. We'd have to trench in from the street. And it seems like a lot of publicity is about doing things green, and so it seemed like it would be a neat thing to get into. It seemed like there was no downsides about it when we looked it up on the internet, and it sounded like it would add value to the home after we completed the project.
I decided to go with geothermal heating after I got a flyer, so to speak, from Parrish Services. And we discussed it for about 3 weeks or a month, reached an agreement on the costs, and they went ahead and began working with basically their own equipment, not leased equipment. And this had the effect of reducing my cost, my long-run cost for the work they did.
We decided to go with geothermal. Part of it was because we wanted to go with the green element, and the other part of it is I just think it's personally a smarter system. You're going with, instead of on a hot 90-degree day, instead of trying to cool your house into an air temperature that's 95 degrees, you've got your 60-degree ground temperature that's gonna help help reduce a lot of costs, run a lot more efficiently, use a lot less power, do a lot less polluting, and ultimately save us a lot more money as well.
I was working with a guy who has a 5,200 square foot house. His heating and air conditioning bills were $275 a month. My house, at a significantly smaller size, was running me pretty close to $700 a month for heating and air conditioning year-round. Obviously, big difference in the cost with the geothermal versus a standard heating air conditioning unit. So I decided I'd go ahead and give it a try. I got to talking with Parrish Services about geothermal installation. I was told that a minimal intrusion into my yard and a minimal number of days in installing the equipment once the loop was installed in the ground, and then I would have heating and air conditioning that was far better than what I've had in the past.
Parrish Services, always there for you.
Parrish Services were a lot more professional than the competition. A lot of new contractors out there. Geothermal is becoming popular in this area. A lot of contractors haven't been doing geothermal for a long time in this area. Parrish Services clearly knew what they were doing. The other guys were trying to get in. weren't as professional, couldn't deliver the complete package, and didn't give me an overall sense of comfort. And I really did my homework, because not a lot of people, when I put my geothermal system in, not a lot of people had it, and not a lot of people knew about it in Virginia. So we're Parrish, I was surprised that I hadn't found Parrish earlier, because they were one of the few who really seemed to know what they were doing, fortunately.
We did initially compare with a lot of other contractors around. I got a few price quotes, and everything from, again, with the geothermal job, we got everything from guys that obviously said, well, yes, I can do it, let me first get a book on it first, to people that have been, you know, within the case of Parrish, that have been doing this for years and years and were very knowledgeable on it. And Parrish seemed to have the best of both, be one of the most knowledgeable and most knowledgeable in experience, and in my opinion, in terms of overall quality, probably the best. They weren't necessarily the lowest price, but again, I would have had a lot more reservations about going with a lower price contractor other than Parrish, because again, they have the knowledge base. They seem to know what they're doing.
We chose Parrish Home Services because they were recommended highly by a gentleman who did our home energy audit. We felt like he was very well versed in building science and which choices would be, so we really went with his recommendation.
And we respected his opinion a lot, and we got to meet the CEO of the company, the CEO of Parrish Services, Alan Givens. We were impressed with the process that he has with the recycling of the old furnace equipment, the donation of the diesel fuel oil or the heating oil in the tank. It sounded like it was quite a well thought out process, kind of interesting to get involved with. And he was very accommodating to what we needed to do in terms of our ductwork and setting up zones in the house, and allowing us to plan for future expansion and renovation.
The reason we went with Parrish is the first thing that Max said when he walked into the room is, "I've never heard one that loud before." So that confirmed right away that what we suspected was that something was wrong. And as he continued to look at the system, there were a couple things he could see just by looking at it that were wrong. And then he went to do the test and realized that we didn't even have all the equipment installed, the right valves, in order to test the pressure and temperature coming in and out. And I had remembered hearing the original contractor talking about that, knowing that they had to drain the whole system in order to put that valve in, and they had done that twice and still had not put in the second valve.
Hi, I'm Sean Mitchell, Vice President of Parrish Services. We're always there for you.
The technicians, when they come out to our house, each and every time are very, very careful that they don't track in dirt, that they don't damage any of our furniture or property or walls. And that's something else we like. They take care of the little things as well as the big things. One instance, they came out, they saw that we had white carpeting, they made sure that they put something down. We didn't ask them to, we didn't have to. They took care of it because that's how professional they are.
Now, I'll say the installation went terrific. And first, it's not an easy job. You know, if I sat here and testified to the fact that this was something that just, you know, someone comes and pops in, it's not. You know, the guys had to work incredibly hard, and they were here for a long time. It was a lot of days of hard work, and not just coming in and plopping a piece of equipment in, but getting the old equipment out safely and cleanly, getting in the yard and digging the holes and all the other things that had to go in, but they were clean, they were prompt, they were efficient, and very respectful of us in our home. I mean, you know, I never had to worry about them running rampant. I could pretty much leave them on their own every day, and I'd be comfortable handing them a key to my house at any time. They've just been great.
The installation process went very well. It did not take much effort on our part. We actually were out of town the week that the majority of the installation was done. So it was, from that standpoint, it was pretty minimally invasive.
It was really nice. We came home to a nice, warm, cozy house. It was all ready to go.
It didn't smell like a fuel oil furnace was burning, heating the home, so we were very pleased with it.
It was very much professional installation. The job was very much professional installation that Parrish did. They came through and they tried to, again, fix a lot of the inherent problems that were originally designed into the system. When Parrish came in and did a lot of work in the attic, they pulled out a good 30 or 40 feet of ductwork up in the attic that just didn't need to be there, just by routing things a little better. And that's contributed to making the house a lot more comfortable. They did what they could to minimize damage to the yard with the horizontal drilling.
I am absolutely overwhelmed with the difference between what I've been seeing today and what I have witnessed over the last few months with the previous contractor. I sent a message to my wife saying, I wish you were here to see this. Mac and Mike are just plugging along. There's no drama. I'm amazed at how much work they've accomplished in the little bit of time that they've been here. It was so chaotic, and I really was beginning to get the feeling that everybody was an on-the-job trainee in the previous group, and there were multiple people. There was at least 4 people most of the time in there, and Mac and Mike made those guys look like Keystone Cops.
Parrish Services, always there for you. It's a wonderful day at Parrish. This is Kelly. How may I help you?
A lot of people ask what the geothermal is like, because and how it works, and they're not all that familiar with the technology. It's quite difficult to explain, but I think from a user's perspective, it's pretty easy to, you feel the air, the cool air and the warm air coming out of the system, and you hear the noise, and that's all that really matters. And it's very quiet. It's a pleasure when it operates. It keeps us, it doesn't matter how hot we want it or how cold we want it, it's responsive, adjusts accordingly, and I would say the overall air quality and the sound and the quietness is superior to other conventional systems that I've experienced.
The new system that Parrish installed is actually wonderful. The heat has been terrific. We've had a lot better heat with the new system than we have previously. We're just very pleased with it. It's quiet. And it keeps the house very comfortable.
Greatest difference I've noticed with the geothermal unit, now I've only experienced the cooling aspect of it this far, is that with the thermostat set on 76 or 78, the temperature seems to be a whole lot cooler than it did before with a conventional unit. From my understanding of that, it's because of a 2-stage air conditioning unit, which actually dries the air and makes it feel a lot cooler. As you know, 100 degrees in Arizona feels a lot cooler than 100 degrees in Washington, D.C. And I'm finding that's the case inside the house.
Our new system, yeah, we're real happy with it.
It doesn't smell. Burning.
We're not worried about having soot come out of our heating ducts anymore. We're not worried about our 20-plus-year-old furnace going out on us in the middle of the winter. We're really excited about the geothermal system with the zones that have been created. We went from having one thermostat to cover the entire home and being just an old-fashioned analog thermostat, to having 2 digital thermostats controlling 2 separate zones with different breakpoints of time we can set. Is really exciting to be able to control the temperature of the house to that level. We can keep things relatively warm, well, warm like 70 degrees warm, and not feel bad about
how much
trying to conserve energy.
Our geothermal system is terrific. People told us strangely that when we were getting it, that it was going to be sort of Rolls-Royce air, silky smooth, and it's difficult to anticipate how HVAC air could be any different from one system to another, but we really we're really happy. It's quiet, it's smooth, it's softer than a conventional system, so we're really pleased with it.
Well, since the system's been in, the first thing we see is we have a consistent heat in the house. I mean, when we set our thermostat at 68 degrees, it stays at 68 degrees. Matter of fact, it never varies, except if it gets really warm during the day, we'll actually go up a couple of degrees during the day. It is the most amazing thing I've ever seen, and it's much quieter than our old system. I mean, the system basically, you don't hear it running. I guess the way it was described to me is the fans come on variable speeds, so for the most part, if they're running, it's at a very low level, and only if we get a real cold snap do you ever even, if you pay attention, hear the system come up. But I'm telling you, I'd never look at that thermostat and see it vary from the degrees we set it for. It's pretty amazing. And the house is just a lot more comfortable.
Another benefit is that we don't have to worry about carbon monoxide poisoning, and that there's not any actual combustion going on anymore. With the heat pump being completely electric, we don't have to actually worry. We were able to throw out our carbon monoxide detector that we had purchased, fearing that something might go wrong with the fuel oil furnace that we had.
Well, propane was the fuel of choice 10 years ago, and isn't it funny how things change over time? But one of the big problems we had with propane is during any of the cold seasons, all of a sudden the propane company would be unable to get to us because they were short-staffed. So as we ran low on propane, any excuse they could have not to deliver the service, oh, there's too much snow, we can't get up your driveway, a million different reasons, and lo and behold, we'd be down to about 50 gallons of propane. And frankly, if the propane went out, we would be ice cold in the house. So it was just a worry and something we had to be on top of. That's really back to that being more self-sufficient is one of the reasons we like the geothermal.
Parrish Service is always there for you.
Without hesitation, I would recommend Parrish Services to other consumers. In fact, I've already provided contact information to 2 of my coworkers who are interested in my project.
Yeah, everyone's excited about what we did.
As a software engineer, I work with a lot of engineer-type folks, and everybody's interested in the technical aspects of what was done and how geothermal works and how our system is performing now.
Well, not only would I recommend Parrish Service to others, I already have. I mean, I've had more people probably come into the house to see. I'm surprised at how interested people are in a heating system, but actually if you look at it, it's clean, it looks cool, it's quiet.
If people were looking for a recommendation for a geothermal system, I would definitely recommend Parrish Services. I really don't have any complaints, and I couldn't find anybody else in the system in the area. And I looked at various systems, and I looked at various different geothermal models and a variety of different contractors, and there's no doubt in my mind that we went with the right people. They did a terrific job, and we'd do it again, and I highly recommend Parrish Services.
We would absolutely recommend Parrish Services to friends and colleagues. They've been wonderful, professional. Everything they've done has been good. We're very happy with the results so far. We're looking forward to the cost savings, so we would absolutely recommend them.
I would be happy to recommend Parrish to other people interested in getting into the geothermal work.
Parrish Services, always there for you.
Parrish Services is always there for you.
Parrish Services, always there for you.
Parrish Services is always there for you.
I'm more than happy to say Parrish Services is always there for you.
Parrish Services!
And I can truly say that Parrish Services is always there for me.
Parrish Services is always there for us.
Parrish Services is always there for me.
Always there for you!